What is up, guys? Winner Kills here, and welcome to a brand new post-commentary duel video, bringing you guys Photon Galaxy versus pure Mekk-Knight. I am piloting the Photon Galaxy deck here in this video. This is actually a pretty exciting match, so I think you guys are in for a bit of a treat. Hope you guys have been enjoying the duel videos as of late, but nonetheless, getting started here with a trade-in on my side of the field. Going to draw me into two more cards. Now, I believe my opening hand was not the greatest, so I'm forced to get started with Galaxy Soldier discarding that Effect Valor, and it is met with an Impermanence, which is really unfortunate. I think I opened a Called by the Grave, but Called by the Grave is not useful when going against the Infinite Impermanence, but luckily I have the Galaxy Expedition to follow up here. Now, I would go right into Cyber Dragon Infinity if I didn't already have a copy of Transmigration and Galaxy Eyes Photon Dragon in my hand. Now, following up with a Desires, which I think this is where I pick up the Galaxy Eyes or the Tachyon Transmigration. This is why I love Desires in this deck, because the trade-in simply sometimes is not enough, and you need to see more combo pieces, and that's where Pot of Desires comes in clutch. And I believe I did not banish any really bad, cards that I needed. It was a good Desires, didn't really banish too much things that I needed, and it really helped me out and to at least get a better hand than I already had. And I think that's what draws me into the Galaxy Eyes. Now, if I would have drawn into like an Orbital or a Vanisher, we would have been, in a pretty good position here, because I could have gone into Soul Flare, added back like a Soldier summon itself, pitching like the Galaxy Eyes, then Orbital grabbing Knight, and you could see how the play evolves from there to a much better board. But going into Soul Flare here, just because, like I said, I think I draw into like a Transmigration and a copy of Galaxy Eyes, so that's able to, it's a no-brainer. Like, I've got the Galaxy Eyes in hand to use for a pitch effect, and I've got the Transmigration, which requires a Galaxy Eyes monster, so might as well just go into Soul Flare, set 2, and pass. Adding back, more importantly, I was debating on what to add back off Soul Flare. I was like, do I want the Soldier for next turn, or do I want the Galaxy Brave? Now, in theory, the Galaxy Eyes in my hand isn't going to stay, so there's no point in adding back a Soldier, just because it's going to get pitched. Ideally, the pitch target for Soldier would be a copy of Galaxy Eyes, but I'm going to have to discard it during my opponent's turn anyways, and he's going to summon the Blue Sky. That'll go through, and now dropping the Timeton on the Soul Flare, I have to chain the Transmigration there, and shuffle that back into the deck, because I cannot afford to lose the Soul Flare at this point, because the best I can get out of it by keeping it is at least another disruption for my opponent's plays. I know he has Purple Nightfall, luckily able to clear the Timeton, but it's up to him right now to sort of create another column, and luckily for him anyways, I do have that Soul Flare in that other zone for him to make that column if it's so desired. Now, activating Instant Fusion, paying that 1,000 life points, 4,000 Eyes Restrict. Now, on the summon 1,000 Eyes, I have to use Galaxy Eyes Soul Flare Dragon to be able to discard and destroy that. It's going to follow up with a normal summon now of Nightmare Corruptor Ibly, going into Mermaid, and then special summon that Ibly to my side of the field, choosing to put it in the same column as Mermaid, of course, giving him access to a free column. So, he still has that Purple Nightfall in his hand, which he has not used yet. But deciding, I had a response for that Ibly, and it looks like it will be Called by the Grave. So I do decide to call by that, because I cannot let him get that column advantage, and B, the Ibly really, really hurts Photon Galaxy a whole lot. The only way you can really clear it in this deck is via Tribute Summon for a card like Galaxy Soldier, or just simply crashing it into your opponent. It is such a brutal card to deal with in this given matchup. Now linking away the Mermaid and the Blue Sky for a copy of Eclipse, rather discarding the Indigo Eclipse for the Mekk-Knight of the Morning Star to grab World Legacy Secrets, which of course will be sprung upon me at any given point during my next turn to revive that Indigo Eclipse. And now setting a card and summoning the Purple Nightfall, and that own column he was able to create to add another copy of Indigo. And the nice thing about having this double Indigo setup is the fact that Indigo's effect to move is not a hard once per turn. So if he gets double Indigo on the field, that poses big problems for me. That is up to 3 or 4 negates, just given on where his placement is, and the fact that that Indigo is in the extra monster zone. It's too much for me to come back from. Having a Soul or a Galaxy Brave in my hand and not top decking what I needed is unfortunate, but we're going to go ahead and go into game 3, where I will opt to go first here, because I simply do not want to try to play into any of his boards. 1 to 2, monster / spell trap negations could be enough. So I get started with reinforcement of the army, already opening a copy of Advancer and Vanisher. So my only other logical target would be the 1-of copy of Thrasher that I'm still playing, because I still think it is very important to at least play 1 Thrasher and 1 Advancer and 3 copies of Vanisher, because above all, you definitely want to see the Vanisher first. So Thrasher coming down first, Vanisher following suit for the Galaxy Eyes Photon Dragon. Now special summoning the Soldier by discarding Galaxy Eyes to add a copy of Galaxy Knight. Of course, already have that graveyard set up. And now I believe I could make a rank 4. I could, I could link into Soul Flare to add back cards for more combo pieces. But instead, going to resolve another copy of Pot of Desires here to draw me into even more combo pieces, which is so crucial here. Any Tachyon Transmigrations I can pick up or other extenders will greatly help out here at this point. And since I've already searched some of my key cards that I need, it's really going to be beneficial here. Dumping that Galaxy Knight back to the grave with a trade-in to draw 2 more. Just trying to see more combo pieces, more things that are going to help create interruptions. Going into Soulflare Dragon now to add back that Knight that I freely got to discard for the trade-in. Wasn't worried about losing that to the trade-in because I knew I could get it back. And now coming down, we'll see the clutch copy of Photon Advancer, which allows me to special summon it while I control a Photon monster in order to complete that summon of the Starleash Photon Blast Dragon, which could be huge in this matchup. Now summoning the Knight for the Galaxy Eyes Photon Dragon into number 90. Pretty much have assembled here the triple threat board minus the Infinity, but being able to make the Blast Dragon certainly does help here, giving me that protection from targeting or destruction for any monster I control that has over 2,000 attack points. So Soul Flare and number 90, both as it stands, cannot be targeted or destroyed by card effects, and setting 1 and passing it back to him during the draw phase is going to activate the effect of Soul Flare to add a copy of Galaxy Eyes Photon Dragon from the deck to the hand to make live the Soul Flare Dragon, needing that proper discard target. So I only have to discard 1 and do not have to give up 2 cards in order to get that interruption. A really solid turn here, drawing 4 cards this turn, leaving me with plenty of resources in hand to follow up for next turn. Desires and trade-in coming in so clutch. I know a lot of Photon Galaxy players are reluctant to play Pot of Desires, but I think the card fits so well into the deck strategy. Obviously, it's not a perfect card. It's not a perfect card in any deck that plays it, but the benefits outweigh the negatives, in my opinion, especially when it allows you to draw into more combo pieces. It can be the difference between losing that game because you didn't see what you needed and winning that game because you just drew everything you needed and more. As you saw earlier, drawing me into that trade-in to set up my graveyard for Soul Flare was absolutely huge. Also, real quick at this point, before I forget, I want to shout out our lovely sponsor, Imperium Duelist, providing some amazing mats, as you see here in this video, the Thunderstorm playmat, and all the sleeves we are using in this video as well, the great purple non-effect tournament armor sleeves, as well as the charm effect sleeves in red for the extra deck. If you guys want to pick anything up for them, you can do so by checking them out in the description and using that discount code to save 10% off on all future orders. Getting started with the Instant Fusion and going for the Thousand Eyes Restrict. Paying the 1,000 now. The only target if Thousand Eyes activates here will be the Blast Dragon, because as it stands, you cannot target anything but Blast Dragon, because Blast Dragon unfortunately only has 1,800 attack. Now, if I were to able to draw into an orbital at some point, that would have been super clutch, but the Transmigration going off to negate the Thousand Eyes once again here. Such a clutch card to have that I was able to draw into off of either Trade-in or Desire. Summoning Indigo Eclipse now. Trying to go into battle phase, and at the end of the main phase, I'm going to chain Soul Flare to blow it up. Not much he can do there. And now just sort of scrambling to see if there's any sort of comebacks that he can make. And now, given that I have a Galaxy Eyes monster in my graveyard, Galaxy Eyes Photon Dragon, I can revive it during his main phase 2 or during the end phase to bring that back to use as link fodder next turn due to Blast Dragon's other effect other than the protection effect. And that'll allow me to gain back resources from my graveyard if need be. But he decides it's too much to get through, and the triple threat board, as usual, proves to be too much for a lot of decks as we go here into Game 3, whereas you might expect my opponent is going to opt to go first, because he definitely doesn't want to try and play through a board that I will be able to make going first like he did last game. As you know, that did not work out too well. So making the clear choice here to go first and try to get set up with a very strong Mekk-Knight board here turn 1. Normaling the Ibly, linking into Mermaid, giving him that column, and most importantly enough, being able to resolve the Mermaid, or the Blue Sky here on turn 1, which is a rare occurrence, because your opponent often has no cards on their field turn 1, unless, of course, they have a card like Phantasme, which is the only card that would normally allow this type of play to happen. But he gives me the Ibly, and he's going into Morningstar now with the Blue Sky and the Mermaid, discarding that for Indigo, of course, adding the World Legacy Secrets. Now, it's going to be pretty rough for me going forward here to have to deal with the Ibly. That means I cannot special summon monsters other than Link monsters. And as I said prior, the only way I can sort of deal with it without crashing and taking lots of damage, seemingly for no reason, will be to pull off some sort of tribute summon in the way of a Galaxy Soldier, because I believe that is the only card in the deck that would require 1 tribute summon, everything else requiring 2. Galaxy Eyes, Soldier, Brave, etc., etc. So he's going to set 1. Ideally, that is going to be Secrets, having plenty of targets engraved, 2 to be exact. The Blue Sky and the Indigo. Having a Purple Nightfall coming back next turn, which is going to play a big role in what is going to unfold here. That's Secrets and the Ibly going to prove to be obstacles for the Photon Galaxy deck for sure. Tied up 1 game apiece. It's a pretty important game here, obviously. Summoning Red Moon here, deciding to invest a little further into the Mekk-Knight Spectrum Supreme, deciding where he's going to put that. Will it be in that extra monster zone on the left, or the one on the bottom towards the right? Going for the bottom zone. Now, the thing about Spectrum Supreme is that it has 3,000 attack, and while it points to nothing in the extra monster zone, it also gains the effect where it cannot be targeted or destroyed by card effects. Now, everything in Photon Galaxy that I would make that proves to be a massive threat, cards that put up interruptions, a card like number 90 has 2,500 attack, so I cannot get over that, and I'm forced to crash here. I'm forced to lose my battle phase to clear this Ibly. My hand is pretty good, and the Ibly completely turns it off, so I have no other choice than to crash into the Spectrum Supreme and take 3,000 damage. Getting started with the Galaxy Soldier discarding a copy of Galaxy Knight. He's going to chain the World Legacy Secrets. And what is he going to target? Ideally, it would be Indigo, but he's going for Blue Sky here. Feeling pretty safe underneath the Spectrum Supreme. But if he does have to bring something back, it will go to the zone that it points to. Now, reading that I have Called by the Grave, he decides to go for Blue Sky instead of Indigo, because regardless, whichever target he brings out is going to negate my Galaxy Soldier, which I cannot afford him to do at this point. So, I have to call by the target for Secret. So that at least saves me here a little bit. Now going into Photon Orbital, going to resolve that for a copy of Vanisher, specialing Vanisher, adding a copy of Galaxy Eyes Photon Dragon from the deck to the hand. Now, with losing my battle phase, I thought, previously after this match played out, I'm like, well, technically, I could have made, like, Full Armor Dragon and run over the Spectrum Supreme, but I kept forgetting that I lost my battle phase here, which is actually playing a huge role into how this turn is playing out. Now, I do have a copy of Galaxy Expedition in hand, and I could make Infinity right after I go into a Link play, of course, and try to establish my board further. But Infinity is pretty much useless against Spectrum Supreme since it is not pointing to anything currently and would allow me to not take it because it cannot be targeted, and Infinity does target. Summoning this other copy of Galaxy Soldier here and linking into a Soul Flare, adding back Galaxy Knight. Special summoning the copy of the Galaxy Eyes Photon Dragon from the graveyard to go into a rank 8 play. Now I decide to sort of stall here. Now I could have gone into a copy of Full Armor Dragon or gone into Cypher Dragon, followed up with Cypher Blade. Cypher Blade popped the trap, so he doesn't have a negate next turn, or way to negate. But that leaves my field pretty useless because I don't have a negate, and I was so reluctant to use that Galaxy Expedition in my hand, because if I did, I would have gotten an Infinity on my board for a negate, but then he could have just simply gone into the battle phase to run it over, thus making me waste 2 to 3 cards, you know, two cards in the main deck and so many cards in the extra deck just to get that card that would just be run over either way. And since I wasn't able to clear, because I figured I might as well just go for the number 90, because I wasn't thinking about the Purple Nightfall coming back, which goes right back to that zone in the standby phase that my my number 90 is in, completely locking that down, which is so unfortunate of Rom being normal summoned here to block the Soul Flare. So many things I felt like I could have done differently here, but I do have one set card that I was able to pick up here, one of the clutch cards that I could have had set. But just I keep thinking of all the different outcomes that could have been made here for me in this specific situation. He goes into Thousand Eyes Restrict, and that is going to be able to take number 90 because I cannot negate, because that Purple Nightfall is in that same column that my number 90 is in, so that effect would be negated if activated. Luckily, I was able to activate the draw phase effect of number 90 before the Purple Nightfall comes back. And now debating if he wants to use Spectrum Supreme's other effect, which is very rarely used, which is to send a card in its column that you control, to special summon a Mekk-Knight from your deck to any column that you have. Opting to send the copy of either the number 90 or the Thousand Eyes Restrict, which will allow him to, like I said, get any Mekk-Knight from his deck. Could get Red Moon here, could get another copy of Indigo. That effect that is pretty much rarely used of Spectrum Supreme, that a lot of people I feel like forget about. That effect that is actually very good when given in a situation like this where you have Thousand Eyes. That is just an expendable card at this point. So he goes to use it, and I do have a response. So he sends the Thousand Eyes, gets met with a Tachyon Transmigration. That goes back to the extra deck. Really unfortunate for him. But has a Purple Nightfall either way to resolve here, to grab either an Indigo or a Blue Sky. Now going right into battle phase here, attacking with the Avram over the defense position Galaxy Soldier, and then running over for 500 with the Purple Nightfall, going into another copy of Morningstar here, and debating whether or not he wants to use the effect. Could go grab World Legacy's Memory, which would allow him to tutor out any monster, any Mekk-Knight into a zone that I try to activate something in. Could tutor out an Indigo, and Indigo could slide over. One of the reasons why I really like World Legacy's Memory in this deck, because it can act sort of as a pseudo, Indigo play set up with secrets, because it allows you just to bring out any Mekk-Knight from your deck in any column to sort of negate anything that you need. And I draw for turn here. Like I said, I could have played that last turn out so differently, but in the end, I don't know if it would have mattered. Drawing another copy of Galaxy Expedition for turn, really unlucky. And yeah, Pure Mekk-Knight's taking the match 2-1. Very close match, I feel. I feel like Photon Galaxy could have definitely won a match against this deck. Maybe even this match if I would have seen a different play at the time. I decided to go into number 90 to wall up. I wasn't even thinking about the Purple Nightfall coming back at the time. And it will allow him to pretty much lock down my entire field for his turn with swarming the board with the Mekstrosities. Yeah, but that's going to be it for this match. Hope you guys enjoyed. And if you did, be sure to leave a like. Drop a comment down in the comment section below. And yeah, as always, guys, Winner Kill sending out. We'll see you guys in the next one.